Title: Entitled woman tries to get family evicted and it backfires. My boyfriend just told me this story and I thought it belonged here. When he was 14, he was living with his mum and sister on a housing estate. It was summer and he liked a bit of light in his upstairs bedroom, so he left the curtains open at all times. That included when he was getting dressed and after having a shower, so if you purposefully stared at his window you could only see him from his waist up. Well, their neighbor did not like that one bit. She went pounding on their door, yelling at my mill that her son was a disgrace, hanging around always naked and exposing himself to her daughter, same age as him. My mill told her he had every right to do whatever he wanted in his bedroom and that if they didn't want to see him all they needed to do was not to look. A couple of days went by and lo and behold, the police showed up at their door. Title: M fails my homeschooling work because it's not how she wants it. It may sound stupid, but yes, my mom is failing me because my handwriting isn't correct and I snapped back at her today. A general rundown: I prefer using print handwriting instead of cursive. Cursive to me is just a bunch of loops and it's annoying to use. My mom obsesses over everything and thinks using cursive will get me a college education because people who use cursive are smarter. This morning I finished an ELA packet and gave it to my mom to look through. Instantly she takes out this big red marker and writes F over the top of the first page. This is the conversations that ensued. M: I can't believe you did it again. Me: What? M: You didn't use cursive. Me: I'm failing this because I'm not using cursive. M: Exactly. You need to use cursive or else you won't succeed in life. Me: But M, how dare you try to talk back to me? Go to your room. I walk upstairs and play on my phone for a bit. After about 10 minutes, my dad walks in and he explains my mom is failing my entire ELA work for the past month because I'm not using cursive. This will go onto a record that will be passed to my high school and then the college I will eventually go to. My dad agrees that it's complete BS but he can't change it because she's the one who got the homeschooling license. She then later told me I'm going to live under a bridge and work on the streets because I don't use cursive. Title: Speak English not Spanish or I will fuck you up. I am posting another story about my family. My parents are in fact racist. As a kid my parents have at one point turned me racist but I've learned from that mistakes. My parents only ever hated any Spanish Latino countries. If you are at all brown or as my dad says it, disgraces, he'll hate you because he'd presume you don't know one set of English. 2017, I was at a restaurant. My step-sister came back home after running away with her ex-boyfriend. They wanted to celebrate it, so we went to a traditional Italian restaurant. We went to our table to be seated. I was doing stuff that at the time 13-year-olds did with nothing to do because they didn't have or bring a phone would do, stalk everyone tables around the table they were seated at. I was looking around bored when I noticed my dad was eyeing a specific table. They were obviously brown, but they weren't speaking Spanish, they were Brazilian family speaking Portuguese. Either way my dad was disgusted they were not speaking English. Conversation happens. Characters: Ed entitled dad, M entitled mom, BF Brazilian family, S staff. Ed, trying to imitate a Mexican English accent, hey puta speak English A, BF, father of the family, K, Ed, you heard me you fucking retard, why don't you got back to Mexico? Me realizing my dad is now causing a scene I was barring my face in my hands hoping the family had a gun to end me out of my misery. M, you know you'd guys get fucked if you were in our neighborhood, we mostly live in a predominantly white neighborhood. BF, says something to their kids. Musical note: cavalry has arrived. S, Mr. Ma'am. Is there a problem here? Both mom and dad, why do you serve people here? They're not even American citizens. BF, one of the sons said in a clear American accent, these people are harassing me and our family. We were only trying to order our meal. S. See, before she was to speak my dad interrupted. Ed, oh ho, so you can speak English, so not everyone is a retard at that table. You guys are fucking pathetic. Why don't you speak English, not Spanish, or I'll fuck you up? S. Raising tone, sir, I need you escorted out of the restaurant now. If you guys don't leave the premiere I will call the cops. Fine, I didn't want to eat at a restaurant that served racial slur. Title: The milk ain't even expired. Mobile. I always listen to stories in different subreddits and am always a little annoyed by the shyness of the people who get harassed by entitled people. But I understand some people are non-confrontational. That's not my case, because I am brash and sassy and love to put entitled people in general in their place. Here's a story that happened to me. MEOC, old cow, entitled mother, S's, unfazed Sanam, assistant manager PC, poor cashier. It was the June 25th, the day after Quebec's National Day. That's a province in Canada if anyone is asking. Hangover, me and GF got hungry and went to one of the only open convenience stores, a couche-tard, red owl, blue background, to grab their signature taquitos. As I'm finished bagging my greasy goodness, a short older woman, OC, around 50, and her shy-looking 20-year-old son enter behind her. She's already huffing, marches towards the counter, her son silently following. OC starts yelling at the only cashier how her bag of milk, yes I said bag, Canada stuff, is expired. It was actually expiring in a day. She was demanding that they change her milk. The PC, seemingly overwhelmed by the day's business, calls an acting manager, who couldn't be older than 25. AM comes down and tries to talk to OC and see how the issue can be resolved. OC is still huffing and puffing and is being a pain in the butt, keeps yelling and demanding, though I couldn't hear what she was yelling about. At some point AM got fed up and said, "We will refund you the money." She goes to the register, starts counting cash and, visibly annoyed, mumbles under her breath something like Tabarnak de calice, which in Quebec French roughly translates to FKIN shit. I guess OC heard it because she started screeching and yelling, "How dare you? Yada yada. Disrespectful. Insert swearing. I'll get you fired." SS still behind her, just looking in the distance, unfazed. Me, having worked convenience, retail and hospitality, never allowing anyone to treat me like this, saw red. Me, would you mind shutting your fucking mouth, you stupid cow? OC, surprised Pikachu face. ME, she is refunding you. What else do you want? Take your money, shut your face, and get the hell out of here. S's seems mildly annoyed but otherwise still unfazed. OC on the other hand is looking at me, mouth agape and eyes like a deer in headlights. Me, take your money. Get out. OC snaps out of it, quickly takes her 6-something Canadian rupees and scurries off. At the door she turns back to me and tries to say something. You. Me, no, this is not opening your mouth time, it's getting the fuck out time. You yelled at employees over milk. Disrespectful cow. OC runs off with S's in tow. As I go to pay for my taquitos, PC leans in and just whispers, "Thank you." My girlfriend said was disturbed by the woman's behavior, yet she still thought that I overdid it a bit. I on the other hand don't think so. Some people never had someone stand up to their bad behavior and protect the employees. So please, if you see an employee being mistreated, please step up. Especially if they are young and seem distressed. You don't have to be as brash, any helpful action towards the employee can be truly appreciated. I hope this story fits in this subreddit piece. I don't even know what gold does. Title: Who files appeals during spelling bees? In 7th grade, I had qualified for the spelling bee. On the day of the actual bee, I was prepared. We went through the rules, blah blah blah. The bee progressed as usual, up until about the 9th round. Usually about the middle. This girl I know goes up to spell her word, condemned, and I'm like, okay, this is easy, good for her. And she spells it condemn. She evidently heard it wrong. Great. Less competition for me. And the spelling bee continues until about the middle of the 9th round. This is where Ed comes in. He's pissed that his daughter's ears don't work, and blames it on the pronouncer. This is a guy that, probably instead of helping his daughter prepare, learned the rules to exploit them if she messed up. He starts to yell at the judges, demands to listen to the recording, all while the lead judge, the one taking the most of the yelling, stands there, unfazed. Of course, since appeals are technically legal, she has to go through the process. It takes 20 minutes to wind up the recording to the right spot, and as soon as the word is pronounced, and she spells the wrong one, his face goes red with embarrassment. He still tries to say they had pronounced it wrong, but it was clear to everyone that she had heard it wrong. At this point, his daughter is super embarrassed and asks him to stop. So he starts to yell at her, saying things like, "Are you a failure?" Fine, and they leave. I end up getting second place and I live happily ever after. Also, kind of off topic, but there was also a guy who had almost been the first one to be eliminated. His accent made it hard for the judges to hear, so they counted it wrong. He almost had left, but while the judges were comparing notes, because some had heard him spell it right, they realized their mistake and brought him back.